Should I click them?
Yeah, try it.
You got to believe, you got this picture. The part is yes. So other than providing change around your back, you better of consumers get off by us extremely well as like about use.
Rescuers, that's the one you want?
I think so.
Yeah. Maybe, that I don't know.
I just don't know what to do.
You click, hold down on it, on that screen and move it down. No, it didn't do it. What is this up here?
Yes.
No, that little blue that was in there. Move back over that right there. What is that? Click on it.
No.
No. Click on that.
So,
Yeah. It got you back in the volume. I think it just looks like a bad connection, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Should I say invite?
Yeah.
I don't want them to see me.
It looks like he's trying to figure something out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Sure. What is that view up here? What does that do?
Full screen? Full screen.
Yeah, full screen.
I think our audio is too good. I don't see you sharing. Are you still sharing?
Yep, because it says stop share. So that means
Yeah.
is no, your screen sharing is paused.
They're trying to figure it out too.
Mm-hmm.
I'd leave it alone for now.
Uh-huh.
I'd leave it alone.
Uh-huh. I am.
That means take your hand off the mouse.
Did you pause it on your end?
I don't think so.
So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stop sharing and reshare to see if that helps.
There you go. Now, leave it alone. Take your hand off of the mouse.
Great. Great. See, sharing. Now we're sharing. Why is it pausing? Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that either.
Anyway, you got them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. No, it's okay. We saw somebody in bed there. Maybe they're not seeing you.
Not supposed to be.
You're a
This is me.
co-host.
No, it's fine. Look,
Then it jumps back.
but it's fine right now.
Oh, okay.
It's coming back now.
You ready or no? We're hanging tight.
Okay, Mary went to the bed.
Okay.
Oh. She'll be right back.
Great.
Okay.
We'll be able to hear something.
Yeah.
And if I can hear something, then
You
I
get
can
some
get
stuff.
some stuff
Yeah.
right.
But I think they'll be back to that little screen. Just said I'll be back in a minute. Here they come.
David, we ready? David? We ready?
Yeah, you'll be able to hear them.
Hello. Welcome to Austin Organic Gardeners. I'm Mary Kramer. I'm the president. And I really appreciate all your support for our plant sale and our fundraiser. Everyone buying plants, it really helps support our mission of bringing speakers about gardening to Zilker Botanical Gardens. We're an 80-year-old club this year. How exciting is that?
Realize she's not looking at me.
And we're actually the oldest organic gardening club in the United States. And we're proud of it. So tonight we have a great speaker, and these lovely ladies who came contributed all these awesome native seeds and added to our seed collection. So all the seeds that we packaged and everything were free. We have a free table here. There's some saws, some succulents, and I can't really tell what else, but at the end of the night, you are welcome to grab something from the table. And it's a share thing. So if you ever have anything to contribute to our meetings and you want to put it on the share table, please have at it. Because that's really one of my most favorite things when I came here was that I would get unusual plants that weren't viable in the nursery because members would just share their stuff way before plant stands ever existed or any of that. People brought stuff to the garden club to share, and that's how we all kind of made propagated plants across the city is through our sharing events and seeds. And so we're continuing that tradition with that event, but also with seeds. And I think we really want to help with climate change through our seed sharing stuff, because cover crop seeds and native seeds really help cover bare dirt, and bare dirt radiates heat. But when you have plants all over the bare ground, instead, you're really keeping moisture in the ground, you're sequestering carbon, you're contributing to the global water cycle directly through planting of plants and seeds. And that's what we want, right? It's really important. So we just finished our fundraising. That's why, and we had a lot left. That's why we brought all our stuff. The other ways that you can be a part is to volunteer for our garden here at Zilker. We meet on Saturdays. David, you want to say anything about that? No, but I don't know if they're going right now, but most of the year, every weekend and Saturday at Zilker, you can go to Give Plus and look up Austin Organic Gardeners Zilker Garden, and you can help garden on the weekends there to keep that garden going as a demonstration of organic gardening. So next month we don't meet, it's December, but we will be having a Christmas party. And we haven't planned it, so but we will probably next week. And so if you're on our mailing list, you will get a notification about the Christmas party. And in years past, we did a make and take. So people would make something and bring it, and like maybe a few, like 10 or something of one thing, and then everybody would share something that they've made. And it could be a plant, it could be a seed, it could be cheese, it could be yogurt, it could be salsa. Anything that you make from your garden or in any way, art is a great way to share. And it promotes community, and it also is part of the gift economy instead of Amazon. So, yeah, and we share our produce from our our lives. And I think it's a great way to have a Christmas party. So we'll probably be doing that in December. if anybody wants to come to that. So the way you become a member is you talk to Marie if you want, and it's $25 a year, I think. And it's yearly, so it self-renews through PayPal. And if you become a member, you're really contributing to our mission of bringing speakers in, promoting community. And we were talking earlier about how we're kind of like church ladies doing our little seed things and how cute that is. It's the Austin Organic Gardener Church. I'm just joking, but I just think that's a funny analogy. But we love it that everybody's come. And is there anybody new tonight who'd like to say hi? Please. Hi, Alicia.
Guys, you know, when you follow something called Chaos Gardener, it brings you all up.
I love that.
It's like, wait, it's tomorrow. Yes.
How awesome is that? We're gonna have to put that Chaos Gardeners.
Funny. He is funny. So anyway, so that's how I found you. Like literally 2
Oh.
weeks ago. So I signed up for tonight, and then I'm also doing the seed collector on Wednesday.
Oh,
Super
wonderful.
excited because I've lived in Austin 8 years. My
Oh.
master's is botany, so I have some things, but Austin is amazing. Like I feel like I can't grow anything here.
Yeah.
And it's all
But it's not. I think just getting into that vibe of what will grow here, you can really make things thrive. It is much different than the woodland,
yes.
much different than, lots of Florida, Yeah. Microclimate. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Anyone else want to say hi that's new? No other new people? Please say hi.
Like 2 days ago, because through my guide group, I learned about the Central Texas Plant Rescue. So I was like, well, I'm excited to learn my introduction into native plants and stimulating the land around our house.
Awesome. Well, Blakely's not here. She's the introducer of this, and I'm unprepared to say the spiel for the. Do you have it?
No, I don't. And now Brady still said she can self-introduce.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah, so Allie, this lovely human with the pink hair, is here. So happy to have you.
Thank you so much. Well, hello. It's great to be here. Thanks for your time. And I love getting to be a part of Austin Organic Gardens. Y'all really helped me when I moved to Austin and I was trying to get started with my little veggie bed. So thank you so very much for having us. I'm Allie Bockham. I'm a Capital Area Master Naturalist. We have a lot of Master Naturalist chapters, and Travis County is special in that we have 2 chapters. And this group of Central Texas Plant Rescuers is largely run by the Capital Area and the Balcones Canyonlands Master Naturalist chapters. So we've got myself, Kim Lanzelotti, and Aaron Hollis here. You over here to do.
No.
No Zoom tonight?
Uh.
Yeah, there you go. So you're in the camera.
Okay, all right, fine. I will stand behind the computer. So we are an insured team of volunteers that work with property owners to get permission to rescue important plants and collect important seeds before they're going to be cleared for construction. And again, we're a beautiful partnership between volunteers with 2 Master Naturalist chapters. And, we really couldn't do it without the partnership. It's a lot of moving pieces to do all of this. So if you've heard about plant rescue, you might have heard the idea of ethical plant rescue. And so the questions come up before, what in the world makes it ethical? And it's that we have permission. We're not trespassing. We are allowed to be out there with written consent from the property owner with specific times and places we can be. And beyond that, it's not just that we can be there. We're digging things that are going to die soon, within the year, or within months or weeks. Those things are scheduled to be cleared for some kind of development project. And so we work within the limits of construction. That means within the map plan of what they intend to be building, and we only work in that area. So that way we're only moving things that will die, and we're not moving things from outside the limits of construction that are set to be safe when the project is finished. So if we were moving things that are totally fine in their habitat, we're poaching. I mean, that's if we don't have permission. If we have permission, you know, I guess it's still poaching, just with permission. So we only move things that are threatened. And that means if it does die, it is sad, but we still gave it the best chance it had, because that plant was definitely going to die without us moving it. Some people rescue plants without permission. Some people rescue plants from habitats that are not threatened. That's not rescuing, that is taking something. So we're not in that game. We have a lot of people that really help make this happen. I wear all the hats, and there's some people that wear one hat or two hats or three hats. But our process is this. We dream of a world where the properties come to us. The developers know, wow, there's groups like Central Texas Plant Rescuers and Native Plant Rescue Project, and we can work with them and schedule to save some plants before they're dead. Or if they don't want us digging, we can at least collect seeds. So the dream is that development comes to us and we get to say, wow, let's go look what's out there and see what matters and have the pick of the gamut. That's not how it works yet. We're in a cold calling phase of our growth in this group of plant rescue. And that means that we are pursuing developers and we're pursuing properties saying, hey, we think there's something really great out there. Before it's cleared, would you please let our supervised team come out and dig the things that matter with hand tools. People at first thought we were coming out with mechanical equipment, and that scared developers. No, we come out with sharpshooters and horis and shovels and whatnot to move these important plants. But yeah, we still cold call. We show up at offices, we call and email property owners and give them the elevator pitch that you're getting now to say, hey, there's this really important thing. Will you please let us out? And if they sign that consent form, we come on out. We get our scouters, and if you want to be a scouter, you can email us and come and scout some lands. It's a great thing for people that like to hike lands that they wouldn't have access to otherwise, or just plant nuts. If you are a plant nerd, you like to see a new plant, that is a good opportunity for you. You can only really be a scouter if you have good native plant ID skills. If you don't, you're not helping us much, because we need you to go out there and tell us what matters on this land. And many of the people that have participated can share with you, a lot of important things are hiding, or they in this drought look insignificant and aren't lush and dramatic right now. So you really need a refined Where's Waldo eye and good plant knowledge to be able to go out there and do that for us. So if our scouters find important stuff, then we push to get that scheduled rescue going. And at the very least, we hope that a property owner lets us out one time. That's, you know, the smallest ask. Really, the smallest ask is seed collection, because we're just coming out and taking some seeds. The next ask is let us dig stuff up at least once. But we've got a treasure of a site right now that's 145 acres, and we have been out dozens of times because it is so treasured, and because this property owner does love nature and is willing to work with us while they don't have equipment on site, while they're not clearing, while they're not building, to let us save more plants. And it's been a huge boon. So we then schedule those rescues, and our rescue leaders manage and support people on site. So if you want to dig your own native plants for your yard, come and join us. You don't have to be a pro. We will help you figure it out. And if you keep coming, you will become a pro, and you will learn more and more and more about the habitat and these cool plants around us. So it doesn't stop there with rescue. Once we get the rescuing done, there's after rescue stuff, which is pretty significant. A huge part of this is if you come out and rescue with us, you are committing to donating one plant for every plant that you keep for yourself. So if you dig 10 plants for your yard, you are really keeping 5 of those, and 5 of those are going to a preserve or a pollinator garden in town, because you are such a generous person. You've dug those plants, saved them from construction, and you're going to help diversify another part of town. If you dig 30 plants, you get to keep 15, and you pick 15 that you are donating. But plants are not beautiful when they're dug. Sometimes they can be. If you get a small thing and get all the roots, there might be no transplant shock, and it is a beautiful thing ready to go. But often our plants need a little bit of recovery time until the roots have established and they're ready to go into a garden. And that means our wonderful rescue leaders like Kim and myself and people who have volunteered in our naturalist chapter to be temporary nurseries, they care for these newly dug rescues, let them get recovered and beautiful. And then when they're beautiful, we schedule for them to go out and deliveries to pollinator gardens and preserves. There's rats running in the AC ducts. Sorry, I just heard a bunch of or raccoons. Anyway, it's a wonderful support for people to be able to take care of those plants for us. And they go all sorts of places. So Austin has about 45,000 acres of water quality protection lands and endangered species lands that are for the purpose of endangered species and for water quality and availability. A lot of those lands are degraded in some way because they were ranched for some number of decades before they were acquired as conservation easements by the city. And we have given thousands of plants to those preserves, largely 5 preserves named here. We've had the great fortune to connect with some parks and recs departments that realize that plants are expensive. And if we are digging up plants and willing to share them with them, that they can diversify their much needed public spaces. And that's happening a little bit in parks, Kyle Parks and Rec. And then we have one park in Buda that is being supported at Stagecoach Park. So if you go out there, you might see some milkweeds and other blooms that are from our rescues. Pollinator gardens, if you have one that's publicly accessible and you want plants, you can get plants for us. If it's your yard, you have to dig it yourself. If it is a public space, you can get some of these donated plants. You just have to fill out the request form on our Instagram and we can get you some. But we are very tickled this year in our second anniversary of having a team working on rescue. We've had the great privilege of donating some species of conservation need to the San Antonio Botanical Gardens. So last month they got 85 plants and half of those were threatened species from this site that we have been working for so very long. So pretty stinking big deal.
Examples of threats.
I'm gonna talk to you about them soon, but not right now. Some of them are here, specifically the upper right-hand corner, the red one, that's Clematis texensis, scarlet clematis. If you are just a standard gardener, homes and garden style person, you'll know, more traditional clematises that aren't native here, but beautiful. This is an example of a native clematis. It's more of like a bell shape. There's a purple one that's not threatened. This red one is threatened, and it's specifically home to this part of Texas. We have 10 ecoregions, and this one is native to Edwards Plateau. So this rocky stuff with the junipers, that is its home. What else is threatened on here? None of the other pictures on here are threatened, but we'll talk more. Beyond our outreach team homing these donation plants, thank you for donating them, you diggers. Our admin team has a lot of work. They get data from whoever participated. If you come, we want to know about how much of what you got. It's not a perfect thing. Just give us a rough idea of, I got these 2 species or these 10 species. I think I got 5. Some data is better than no data, and it helps us know our impact. We then use that information to say thank you to our property owners who really like this. They get to see pretty things like this mosaic of what was rescued from their site, and they get to see the raw numbers, and it makes them feel a little bit better about that development experience. Some of those numbers are here. So the site I said that we're really loving, it's 145 acres. We have found 4 species of greatest conservation need out there. We have supported 5 preserves from that land. 19 pollinator gardens that have asked for plants from us. And we have moved about 85 species. I think it's more because I haven't checked the recent data. And supported more than 200 yards. So that's people that have come out to dig with us and they've taken plants home to diversify their own yard. And just this one site, we've moved more than 7,000 plants. So it's like, that's pretty significant. And these are a compilation of some of the plants out there, including orchids. So seeds, that's what you guys are here for largely, right? We're talking about rescuing and propagating native plants. I love digging the plant, and it's so exciting because you have a tangible thing, right? You've got this plant, you saw the bloom, you liked the leaf, there's something you liked about it, and you have it physically in your hands, and you can put it in a pot in the ground. Seeds are a little more abstract and ambiguous. You have to grow it to get that end result. But seeds are the most important, really, because they're less labor intensive for us to get, and we can disperse them widely to a lot of partners, including conservation partners, to make sure that the genetics of the species live on. Another thing that we're very proud of is we have been able to donate seed to Native American Seed. I'm assuming many of you have purchased from them. I have myself, but they don't have access to all the wonderful natives, and it is very labor intensive to collect the seed. But we had the great privilege of collecting a threatened Liatris, gay feather, if that's the name you know, Liatris glandulosa, and we were able to give them pounds of this seed, which means they're able to grow it out and farm this threatened Liatris, strengthen the genetics that are now in nursery sale. And that's stinking great. It's really great. So if you see SGCN, that's species of greatest conservation need. Seeds go a lot of places. Habitat restoration is the big thing. Seed libraries that are largely supported by Central Texas Seed Savers. And those are in most of the libraries throughout any of the Central Texas municipal libraries. We've started to give things away at neighborhoods events. So if you guys want to get plants and seeds and don't have the time in your schedule to come and dig with us, you can get some things there. And we also support the Seed to Tree Partnership, which is a big group working to combat extinction. It's tree folks and the Central Texas Seed Savers, and they are trying to get all the native woody seeds so they can better restore degraded habitat. They helped restore bastrop when it burned. The Guad needs trees. They don't have enough, and perhaps if we can help tree folks get enough seed for native species, they can grow it out and support more of these areas that need help. But seed's a big deal. We always collect seed first. If you come out with us, that's one of the first agreements you agree to, is that you will collect seed first because it's so important. So our priorities when we have our scouters go out and when we're digging and collecting seed, it's 4 big things. We're looking for conservation need species. If you're unfamiliar with the species scale, it's 1 to 5. 5 is that plant is super abundant. We're not worried at all. 1 is it's very rare, almost. We're very concerned about this species. We start to be concerned. It's a species of conservation need at a 3. So S1, S2, S3, that's what we're worried about. And we find them. Edwards Plateau has more than 50 of those species of greatest conservation need, and we're seeking those out and digging those first and collecting those seeds and getting them to conservation partners and growers. Pollinator host plants, we need pollinators. They are in decline, and we have their plants right here. And the more I learn about the species we're digging, the more I'm finding that things I thought were just everyday plants are actually a host plant for something. So many pollinator host plants right in our backyards, and we're moving them. The next is species that are important to our native bees. So not honeybees, but native Texas bees. And correct me if you know the more current data, but I think we have about 800 native Texas bee species. That's a lot. That's so many. So we need the plants that are important for those bees, and we are moving a lot of those things. The Xerces Society has a Bee City initiative, and Austin became one of those bee cities in 2022. And so they are working to protect pollinator habitat, and a huge part of that is assuring that we have those plants important for our native bees. And then 4th and final critical area is we're looking for endemics. So those are native plants that are so native, they're hyper-local, that they only live in Texas, or even more specifically in part of Texas. Maybe it only lives in the coastal plains, or it only lives in Edwards Plateau, but it's an endemic species. And Texas has about 400 endemic species, and more than 25% of those live right here in the western part of Austin in Edwards Plateau, and that is what we're looking for. So beyond those 4 big categories, we're also just looking for what's cool, what's uncommon that you can't get. And I really got obsessed with orchids. We don't have any here that are threatened, but they are uncommon. You cannot buy it, and it's so cool. So we love it. So we're all about the orchids, cacti, fern, whatever else you can't find other places. And here's some of that beautiful stuff. So all the white pictures are the same orchid. It is so fragrant. Sometimes you find them because you're drawn to the fragrance of this plant and you're looking for what smells so good. And then you find this beautiful white orchid. I talked about native bees. Here are 2 native bees depicted. And this blue bee is really what made me fall in love with native Texas bees. I didn't know we had blue bees. We have blue, green, gold, so many beautiful bees from the size of my thumb to a grain of rice size, and they're so important and they need these specific plants. We talked about threatened plants. That purple one with that big bumblebee is Liatris glandulosa. It's the threatened Liatris, locally to our endemic soils. Host plants. So without host plants, we don't have a lot of the pollinators we need. The upper right-hand corner with that caterpillar is hopwood. It's in the citrus plant family and host for the giant swallowtail, our biggest butterfly. So even just if you just think butterflies are beautiful, you need these native plants so you can create those beautiful butterflies. Again, I love bees. Part of this movement is helping people to kind of change their perception of beauty and plants. The bottom right is a digger bee that is sleeping on the spent seed head of a plateau goldeneye, which is also a pollinator host plant. And without having that spent seed head, there wouldn't be a perfectly camouflaged place for this group of male digger bees to settle down at night and safely sleep. So just consider if you're a really tidy person, maybe there's one spot in your lawn that you can leave uncleaned. So you have a spot for your digger bees. And just to show some of the beauty of our 800 native Texas bees, there's only 3 here. Again, there's 800 or so. And to wrap it up, it's again all about seeds. We've collected seeds from everything I'm showing to you. We've got some endemics on here, some milkweeds on here, fragrant blooms. A native iris is what that sweat bee is on. So lots of cool stuff that we're digging just in our backyard. And in fact, what the sweat bee is on is really easy to move, sort of, because it's a bulb. Bulbs live if you don't sever them. So if you can just get down to where that bulb is, you got yourself a native iris that the bees want to nectar on. And then the upper left-hand corner is actually Erin's yard. Erin was collecting seed from milkweed species to make sure that it didn't mature, open up, and wind disperse and lose all the seeds. She put an organza bag on her seed pod, and that's a wonderful way for you guys to be collecting your wind dispersed seeds. We have so many cool seeds that we want you guys to grow. And we've got some really cool ladies here to teach you about what they are doing to try and grow these native species, because a lot of it is trial and error. And we need to group all of our collective information together so we can learn more about growing these things. So please welcome Kim Lanzalotti to come tell us a little bit about her strategies for growing native plants.
Yeah, you've heard a lot about growing from seeds, but I'm going to talk a little about propagating from cuttings. And sometimes cuttings might be better because it might be faster, it could root faster. You'll immediately start with a larger plant, which it might bloom sooner than a plant grown from a seed. It also can be easier to grow a plant from a cutting because many seeds require scarification, coal stratification before they will germinate. Another reason would be that you know exactly what plant you're growing, because certain plants have male and female. This is an example of Acalypha radians, and one is the male and one is the female. And you may, okay, and so typically when you find this at the Wildflower Center, which is the only place that I know that you can buy this plant, they only propagate the male because it has the prettier, taller flowers. Another reason might be because you want a tree that has berries. Both possum haw and Texas persimmon have male and female trees. They separate so that if you want a tree with a berry, you need the female. And if you grow it from seed, it may be years before you know whether you have a male or female plant. Another reason you might want to grow from cuttings
is because you have a cultivar. This is a native plant that has an unusual characteristic. And this is a photo of an elbow bush, which is different because it is a weeping elbow bush. And in order to get that characteristic, you would need to grow it from a cutting. Oh, and the last reason might be for plant rescues that there are certain trees that are too large to dig. There are trees that their roots might not like being dug. And so you can take cuttings so you can preserve the plants in that manner. Okay. So a con for growing these from cuttings is that they're all clones of the same plant. So if you really want diversity, growing from seed is really the best way to continue diversity, but it's not always the way things are grown. So if you want to grow from cuttings, a few tools you need is rooting hormone. There's a liquid rooting hormone, Dip and Grow, and then there's a powder. And so if you have a large amount of material, you would probably want a big tray with many cells in it. You use for 50% vermiculite and 50% perlite, which I guess after Erin does her, I can give you a little demo. And what you do is you take a tip cutting and you remove the leaves and you leave the very top, you cut the growing tip off, but you want to have at least 3 nodes. And then you take a cutting and you put it in your rooting hormone, and then you put it into the cells, and then you have to cover it so that it stays moist. You spray it. If you have a commercial greenhouse like this, they have sprays that go off very, ever so often. So you don't have to worry about that. But being at home as a home gardener, I use different methods to try and keep the water in, and I'll show you that. And then I'll introduce Erin. That's why I'm here. Yeah, okay. So is there a room? And so if it's in, I would be young. I'm trying to. I know, I don't know too much. So demonstrate with, so I guess I can just do some speaking part and then come and do these parts. I wasn't sure. Hi, I wasn't sure of the setup, so I brought a lot of stuff to demonstrate with, as opposed to standing here and just talking. So, oh, are you set up so you can film?
I can show you from this camera.
Okay. So what should I do about the speaking part? Can you hear me if I'm over here?
Yeah. So we'll try.
Hi, everybody. So I want to see me. I didn't know this at first. I've been a member of the Osprey Garden for a while, and I used to do vegetables. I do vegetable plants for things, and just enjoy growing things. I did stand my license because I became bored with vegetable, and I found natives to be quite a challenge. Thank you. I found natives to be quite a challenge. The little seeds had brains. That's all I can say. But so I'm gonna kind of give you. I can teach a propagation class and make a 2-hour class. So I'm gonna try to squeeze it into just a few quick minutes. So I'm really just gonna give you like almost the headers. And if you're interested, you have more questions, I have charts. I have, like I said, I teach classes until we can go to that. But so
My highlights, I tried to learn how to do things in an unconventional fashion. I learned, read the rules, and then I tried to break the rules pretty well. So anyway, no. So first you want to do some research. You want to know what you want to grow and what it takes to grow it. A lot of information is not out there. You kind of have to dig. The more common things you can find, rock grows, truck stack, and all that. But when you're doing these recipes, you need to find seeds that no one really knows about, or Mother Nature grows them. So you kind of have to take what you've learned, drop conclusions. So my biggest takeaway that I had learned from growing from seeds and growing natives is you assume that everything needs cold. You mentioned cold moisturization as being something that is needed for building. Websites are good sources. Lady Bird Johnson Wildfire Center. If you dig in the right places, there's a ton of information on there for germinating seeds. Books. About two of my favorites, old bookstores probably, but this is actually for gardeners and such that you have a lot of other things. It's not just native, but it has a really good section on growing trees, different seeds, and perennials as well. You'll note if you know anything about seeds, you heard her name. There's two versions. I actually have the older version of like a hardbound, old school cloth cover. Got some a good selection, but this is like a like. I have people, friends that never have it, and they'll call me and say, "What does it say about this?" But you can see on my tab, I actually tagged everything I have seeds for. So you know where to go for that information, even if it's a friend or someone that can give you some ideas. Social media, we've got website, you've got your own chapter, Facebook group, there's propagating groups out there that you know as well that you can go to. So that's kind of your first source to try to figure out what you do, works best. And even when you do that, it's not always success. Native seeds have a really low. Native seeds have a really low success rate overall. There's quite a few varieties I have not had success with, no matter what I tried. So it's just going into it knowing that you're going to get results, whether they're successes or failures. But I just enjoy trying to get stuff out of it, trying to get that information to go. So pre-treatments, that's I guess your first hurdle is to figure out what pre-treatments, if anything, your seeds need. So like I said, most seeds I figured out because I do them in bulk. Like I have trays, like this is a tray with 8 spots. I might start 20 or 30 trays, and each cell has something different in it. And so I do a lot at one time. So to do all those at one time, I put them in small packages and I refrigerate them. I assume they all need cold. Some don't, but just to do the process, all the steps together. So sorry. I do cold certification for pretty much everything. It's whether it's going to be in the refrigerator for 30 days, for 60 days, or for 90 days. Overall, I assume everything's going to need 30 days. If it's a larger shrub or small tree, probably 60 days. And if it's going to grow into a bigger tree, I assume it needs 90 days. That seems to work for the most part. A lot of that is me too being over committed, and they just sit in there longer anyway. Some other pre-treatments that might be necessary. I did boil some water earlier. It's not that hot now, but it was rolling boil, and I'll put seeds in that. Especially things that have really hard coats, like persimmons, would be a good example you might be familiar with. It softens. So I like to use analogies when I teach my classes. So when you wash dishes and you've got a stack of plates that have been on the counter a while, and it's all dried on and you try to wash it with cold water. It's really hard to do. But when you wash it with warm water or hot water, it softens whatever's on your plate and makes it easy to clean. Same way with seeds. That seed coat is really hard, and that warm water softens it and allows it to be permeable so the water can get in there and begin that germination process. So water is your friend, especially boiling water in a lot of cases. Soaking is another thing that I find helpful.
Do you put the seed in the boiling water or you let it cool after you boil it and then you?
Actually, I have the seeds, like I'll put the seeds in a container. I actually use little yogurt cups, because they're good size for doing a large mass. And I have the seeds in all the cups, and then I just pour the water into the cups. And I usually put in a little bit, and then after I've given everybody some water, I come back and actually top it off. And I do 2 or 3 rounds so it stays in the hot water longer because it cools pretty quick. And then I let it sit generally 24 hours before I take them out of the water, because that's giving them time then to soften up and absorb some of that water. And I have a good success rate. Some seeds you can leave in the water. Blue bonnets, so you all know how hard it is to get blue bonnets. Prime way to do it. Pour boiling water on them, leave them 24, 48 hours, and I kid you not, they'll start to germinate within that time period. If they're ready to go, they're going to start growing their cotyledons and be ready to go.
You leave them in the water for 24 to 48 hours and all of you start to germinate.
And put them in hot and they turn into blue bonnet. So yeah, and I've even, because I test things, I'll drain them and then I'll pour like 24 hours if I don't see them puff up. They're kind of wrinkly like a pea and then they puff up. So if they don't puff up, they'll have puffers and non-puffers. I take the ones that didn't puff up out and put them in more boiling water. And I've had success with them. Then after that, they puff up. And I'll do that for 2 or 3 rounds to get, a large variety. So hot water is friend. Now, another thing I learned a couple of years ago, there's a lady, Papillonia.
Papillon natives.
Yeah, she's up in Round Rock area, and our pollinator garden project group got to go up and take a class from her and learn her methods for growing milkweeds, because she's been growing milkweeds for a lot of the local native nurseries and other recipients, and she uses hydrogen peroxide. Her background is chemistry, and she went into COVID with nothing to do and decided she wanted to try to grow milkweeds. Well, she couldn't find anybody that had milkweeds to sell. So she figured out, it's really neat if you ever have a chance to find her story. I know she's done Central Texas Gardener. She's been on there given her experiences. But long story short, she went and did her own trial and error and figured out that hydrogen peroxide in water will replace cold moist stratification for milkweed seeds. And I tried it on other seeds and it works for other things as well. Basically, I have handouts in this. I have handouts in this binder, and I'm going to let it float around. And one of them is her instructions. There's 4 pages, very detailed. So I'm not going to go into that much detail because I don't have that time. But a lot of my documents will have a QR code or a website, or if you see something and you're interested, just send me an email and I'll share the link. But she uses, I taped it on my bottle so I don't have to look it up every time I need to do it. 3 teaspoons of hydrogen peroxide to 13 teaspoons of water. So I have 13 teaspoons of water here, and I would do 3 teaspoons of hydrogen peroxide and throw my milkweed seeds in there, and then you agitate it for I think 5 minutes or something like that, maybe 15, I don't remember. And then when you're done, you drain it out. So you put it in like a little kitchen strainer and strain it. And then you plant these And typically within the 24 to 48 hours, I'll see them start to germinate.
Wow.
Uh, so that's a really cool trick. Okay, so in aeration, which I bought the kit, yeah,
How does hydrogen oxide comes as difference?
yes, 3%. And yeah, if but you wanted to see the instructions, it is all like really detailed in the book on her instructions. Aeration is another thing I want to try. So I've been one of those people to give the seeds to tree folks for trees because I'm a seed addict, and I've donated about
Thousands,
40,000 seeds that I have picked. And I don't just pick seeds. I was telling somebody that I actually will sit there on the couch at night and I clean every single one of them off. So some processes, might take me 4 weeks to do, 20,000. What did I do? Elbow bush seeds. But I watch TV. I have to have my hands. But anyway, long story short, aeration. The man who runs the Tree Folks Project, he's using aeration to germinate seeds. I have not been able to get Caroline and buckthorn to germinate no matter what I try. And I mentioned that to him. He's like, aeration, put them in a bucket with the little bubbly stones in a fish tank, and he gets them to germinate. So I have the kit. I just need to find the time to try it.
What's the bubble?
Aeration kit.
Like literally just the air in water.
It's a fish
tank.
It's a little fish pump with a white clear tube with a air stone. In a 5-gallon buckets. If you think my quantities are large, yeah. Sorry. Scarcification. You're probably familiar with that term. That's breaking the seed coat. So I've taken that. I'm not gonna. So my presentations aren't teaching you the normal how-tos. I teach you the how-I-dos. So with scarcification, my coolest one I do, because I don't have a lot of time. So rock rose. So I try to germinate rock rose. And when I do things, I usually start 50 seeds or 100 seeds at a time. And I have spreadsheets or keep track of how many I'm doing and what and how long it's going through the process and all that. I'm good at starting, not good at finishing. So I'm like you, with anything that's better than no data. But after a while, you start to say, well, if that's a seed coat and it can come off, and this has a seed coat, why can't it come off? So I figured out with rock rose, I got to put 50 seeds into a tray and get 2 plants. And I'm really disappointed. And so I use tweezers. Now, granted, see, I'm sitting on the couch. And you know what size the rock rose seeds are. But I'll take the little tweezers and I'll pinch them, just the edge of it, just right, that it snaps open. And then I crack it like an egg. Well, that one didn't have a seed in it. So that would be why that one won't germinate. And I wouldn't know that if I hadn't cracked it. So I cracked enough of them open to know that if the seeds were lighter, particular color, there's not likely to be a fully developed embryo inside. I learned that the darker the seeds, the more likely it is to germinate. And I don't have any here because I just put them into my process. But I have cracked open and had 50 seeds I started in my process. No cold moist stratification needed because the purpose of that is to break through the hard coat, and I did that on the couch. So I put 50 little bare seeds in water. Well, you can, but I just put it directly into moist soil. And out of 50 seeds test, I had 35 plants.
Pretty good.
That's a good germination.
So that speed was worth the time on the couch, cracking them open. But that's the kinds of things that I like to share. So scarcification, files, they like to say, sandpaper, Hot water is kind of a sort. I like fingernail clippers or toenail clippers, scissors with a really small sharp point where you can just nick the side. I've been doing a lot of trees lately, tree seeds, and some of them are in this. I'm sorry, I don't know the word sramas, the little like wafer ash or Samaras. And so they have the little papery sides, and if you just nick it enough persimmons, you can just nick that coat with the scissors, then you've broken into the seed. So you don't need this hot soak of the boil water. You don't need the cold stratification. You just need to get to plant them because it's already the water has the whole point of all this processes is to enable the water, which is your primary not thing needed for those seeds to germinate. Air is another, light or sun would be another, temperature. So just having all the right conditions. And I've just been tinkering with seeds over the last couple of years to find out what combinations of things work for what plants. Cold stratification is what Mother Nature does. So that's just putting it in something moist. I tried paper towels. If you're not observant and check it often enough, the roots get caught and you end up pulling your plant apart. I tried sand. Sand's messy, and if you want to reuse what you've put it in, you got a mess to clean up. I tried those little sponge, not sponge, but little foam pads that you put in the bottom of your refrigerator to line your refrigerator. Those worked pretty good, but again, I had issues with the roots. I keep coming back to vermiculite. I found it works best. My first failure was it was too wet. I lost, I don't know how many seeds the first time. You almost don't need to even see it's wet, except it's a little brown. I guess. So I buy it in a big box because again, I do, 800, not that many, but I do a lot of sales at one time. I use 1 part water to 4 parts vermiculite and mix it together. And I haven't had hardly any rot with that ratio. Like I said, I use these little bags for that. I use a little protein scoop because you don't need that much. Once I get my seeds through whatever process I've done, I use trays with the little inserts. I have so many of these, I'm still using them, but I've decided they're not deep enough because a lot of what I grow, the roots run to the bottom long before they're big enough for me to take out. So I'm headed towards 5-inch pots, 5-inch pots that are normal 4-inch pot size, but they're bigger because I like to do 50 seeds at a time. Sorry, I'm kind of. So that's a good question. So several things. I'm in my Master Nash chapter. I'm in the Backlands Canyonlands chapter. These 2 ladies are from the Central Austin chapter. And we have a very active pollinator group, and we have 8 or 10 pollinator gardens now. And so I grow them and give them to our pollinator projects. When my chapter does events where we are, I forgot what we call it, when we're out meeting, we're out meeting people out in the public. We give away plants like we are doing with Tree Folks. We're bringing the rescue plants. When I'm doing something like that with my chapter, I bring my plants and give them away. I grow them and plant hundreds in my yard because I have an acre and I can't stop. If you want to come over the next 2 weeks, I'm working on 50 trees added to my property. So yeah, and then I have a plant sale every once in a while to sell them that way as well. And then some of them die. So that's a struggle. It's a serious struggle. I mean, when you got 400 or 500 plants in 1-gallon pots or 4-inch pots, and you work 40 hours a week, and you have other commitments, watering is a challenge. So I celebrate my victories. I don't worry about my failures. But yeah.
How do you keep all the creatures out of your yard?
I have 2 dogs that live outside, so they do a pretty good job. I don't lose much to the creatures. I get aphids on the milkweeds, and squirrels like my pots for planting acorns. They don't necessarily mess with the plants, or that's not their intention. So I do lose a few that way. I have a hoop house, and they do not tend to go in there, even though it's open. So that tends to be better protection for them. But so my next, to kind of get back on track, where am I with time?
I don't know. I think we're low.
Okay, so basically with supplies, then I guess the main thing I want to mention with supplies is labels. So I'm the first to admit, like I've already mentioned, I'm good at getting started, but I'm not good with finishing. So I'm terrible about collecting seeds and forgetting to put in the bag what it is. It's key. My brain doesn't remember anything anymore, so I might recognize it, but I don't know much beyond that. So make sure you're labeling things. When you put the seeds in the bag, sorry, that's fine. Put the seeds in the bag, put a label. So my process, collect my seeds, and usually in batches throughout the year, I'm constantly bringing stuff out, and I'm counting out 50, 50, 50, 100, 100. And so I'll put them in a little baggie, and I'll put a regular plant label in there with what's in there. And then I also make a sticker that has the same information. You're welcome to come up here and check them out. I've got some you can take with you if you want an example. But on my sticker, I've got little codes, and I print them out at a sheet at a time. Basically, I put the name of it. I number mine as a form of keeping track of what things are. But C is called CMS. So this one's going to be 60 days. I have 100 seeds. S is start, E is end. So I'm going to put it in there on November 10th. And so 60 days from November 10th, that date goes down there. So when I'm looking at my tray real quick, I know when I should take it out to test this time frame. And then this one says hot soak over my tea, because these are rock rose in their shell. So I know I need to soak that in boiling water for 24 hours before I put it in the tray. And so I'll get them all out. I currently have well, they're out of sorts. I think I have about 350 bags prepped right now. And so that's kind of, I'll sort them out. All my 30s will go in the tray together. So they'll go in these in containers just like this, and they'll stack in the fridge, in the back of the fridge. All my 60s will be in a tray, all my 90s will be in a tray. And then when I see the date on the front is approaching, I'll take those out and start to put them into these trays to grow them out. But having the labels, so when I go from here to here, I just put the sticker on the outside of the bag so I can see it, because when you put a plastic thing in the bag, you can't see it. And that way I can quickly see. And then when I take it out of the bag and put it in the tray, the tag goes in the tray, and the sticker actually goes on a piece of paper
Data.
that matches the tray. So this sticker here, this sticker here, this sticker here. So my stickers are laid out like my tray is laid out, because something's going to come along, or I'm going to snag it, or I'm going to do something and this is going to disappear. And that way I can go, okay, well, that's between rock rose and Turk's cat. So, oh, that was this. So I've got kind of a back plan. And also on my tray, on my labels, when I take it out of the tray, because the things don't germinate at the same time. See, this is, y'all need to come to my class. It's 2 hours and I don't feel rushed. I take it out and I write on the back a T, which means I took out or I transplanted like 6 of the seed plants, because then in 2 weeks there's going to be 6 more that are big enough. Or in 6 months, oh my gosh, there's some more that just came up, because I keep my seeds in my trays for a year. I whether I water it or not, I have stuff that I didn't water for weeks this summer, and I started watering again early October, and stuff started coming up. It's been in there, watered, not watered. What I don't baby anything. It's, you know what? And I've had our pollinator garden leader tell me your plants are by far the best, healthiest looking plants in our projects. I can look at our garden and know exactly which plants I got from you. And I think it's because I don't love them. I mean, I do, but I'm Mother Nature. She's not nice sometimes. So don't worry about having it perfect all the time. Just they're not as tender as vegetables. And then my other tip would be sorry, look at my notes. Patience, or in my case, forgetfulness, being over busy. My first experience where I started, I did American Beauty Berry, and I put them in a tray in the fall, and February, March, April, didn't see anything, got depressed, set it aside, went on about then I was like, oh, let me clear out that tray. That was long before I had a couple hundred trays. I was like, let me clear out that tray so I can reuse it. Oh my gosh, it looked like a green carpet. Every single cell had dozens of babies, 6 months after I put them out there because I forgot it and set it off to the side. So patience, just give it time. These trays that I have right now, they're going to be recycled because they've been out there since March, some since November last year. And I have a garden, I'll just throw them in there. And sometimes I get babies that come up in there. But I kind of skip through my stuff. If there's something you wanted to hear, let me know. I have no idea where we're at with time. So, oh yeah. So these are just some of the sources I mentioned. I got the binder over here. If you want to come and look at it, some articles. I love information, so I research things and get ideas from other people. And then if you're a seed geek, I'm a seed geek. This book is just eye candy. The pictures of seeds, because I began this whole process when I bought a Native American seed mixed bag of seeds, and I sat there on the couch with my tweezers, and I separated every single seed in the bag. Bluebonnet seeds. I had little condiment cups lined up on my tray, and I just would sort them. And I found out there's things in the bag that aren't labeled on the bag. There's not things in the bag that are labeled. And then I decided that there's not enough pictures in the yellow, so you can identify things. A lot of them I really had to struggle with to find. So I got a little microscope, digital microscope, and I have my own little library of seed images. I go on hikes, wildlife, nature hikes, guided hikes, and they'll be talking about this flower and this plant, and then someone will say, well, what's that one? And they'll be like, well, I don't know, it's dried up. And I go, hold on a second, and I'll pull the seeds off, and I can identify it 9 times out of 10. Because I've played with 300 varieties of seeds. But I appreciate you letting me rattle on. I don't know if we want to do any wrap up or anything.
Kim is going to demo some cutting propagation.
So let me move myself out of the way so she can go over here.
I can just go. Thank you.
It's a good one right here.
Oh, yeah. Let's try. Sorry. Oh, cool.
Please. No, we're good. Have a job.
I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Flame Canvas. This is similar. This is from Big Bend. It's the Big Bend Infinite Canvas. And so we've done cuttings from this before. It's kind of important the time of year that you take cuttings. I took a few from this plant very, very early in the spring. It was just starting to leaf out, and I took them to the wildflower center because they used to have this plant available. In fact, that's where this one came from. but they don't have it anymore and they wanted to grow it. And none of the cuttings made it, they all rotted. And about a month later, it was really putting out a lot of leaves. And so I said, you want me to try again? And so we did, and about 85% of the cuttings made it. So it matters when you take your cuttings. Also, to take in the morning is good to get cuttings because, you know, as the day gets hot, plants tend to droop, whether it's just the sun is just so intense here. So if you can take the cuttings in the morning, it's best. And as I said, you wanted to get, like, you can get a lot of cuttings from this one particular plant here. Let's see. So one of the things you want to be sure and do is cut off the growing tip and the flowers. You don't want any flowers growing. You don't want to put any energy into making seeds. And you want most of the material to be cut off. Then you want to cut the end, angle it so it has a little more surface area. This is dip and grow, which is a rooting hormone, and you put it in there for about 10 seconds. And you just put it in your medium. And once you fill this up, I've already moistened this, it's already a little wet, but then you can just spray the cutting. And this is a little, I bought these off Amazon, these are too short. So you can do something at home like this. And make a little makeshift greenhouse. If you want to do several cuttings and put them all in one, you could do something like this. And then this could be your little makeshift greenhouse. The one thing is you don't want plants touching each other because they tend to rot where they're touching each other. So try to make sure that you don't have any of them leaning up against the side.
Can I ask you a question? You cut the flowers off?
Yes.
Pinch them off or?
Pinch them off.
Okay.
You just don't want the flower or the growing tip because you don't want it to put all its energy into continuing making seeds from the flowers or growing from the growing tip. There are certain plants that are sort of strange. There's a plant that we all love called Gostemia angustifolia. And I tried growing it from cuttings because I had one. I bought it from the Wildflower Center and they no longer sold it. And I really wanted another one because I planted it in the wrong place. Another plant had grown over it, but it was so established I didn't want to dig it up and meet. So I kept taking cuttings and it kept growing. And that's usually a tip that it's ready, it's got roots. And I would take it out of the rooting medium and there was no roots. And I would pinch the growing tip back. I would put it back in and you would go and it would start growing again. And every single time I did it, it would do the same thing and I never got it to root. So I gave up on it and figured out how to grow it from seed. That has been very successful.
You gotta figure it out.
Yeah, it's trial and error. It's like you never know. And talking with other people, meeting other people who enjoy doing this, that's the best way. It's pick people's brain. I've been volunteering at the Wildflower Center since 2008. That's where I got a lot of my knowledge as far as growing things from cuttings. And I mean, but they have a professional house and it's a seed system, so it's a lot different when you do it online. But Erin's great job on I've taken her class. I have to say it's very good.
Be fearless. Come dig with us. Come collect seeds. Try things from cuttings. Try things from seed, and tell us what you learned. Because one problem is we don't have all this combined knowledge to know what to do. And this is kind of when it's happening. We got the internet. People are talking now. We're starting to put all this together. If you guys want to join us sometime, you should. But on the topic of seeds, these are some of the things that we very much want to rehome so that way local growers can grow these things and get them out to native plant sales, to giveaways, to anything so we can better diversify land, because this is a wonderful native milkweed that is endemic to Texas. Not only is it a host plant for monarchs, so the monarchs need those leaves, but the blooms are important for our native Texas bees, which are more than 800 of them. They need this plant. The top one is another milkweed, so another host plant. This is that wonderful plant that Kim was saying that she failed with cuttings, but grew it from seed. This is the Galphemia angustifolia. It's an endemic. It is hyper native to Texas, and we want someone to grow it. So if you guys want to grow some of these seeds and you're willing to commit to give away 75% of your success, or sell them so that way people have access to this cool stuff, talk to us, because we have these cool seeds and we want you to grow them, but with a commitment to assuring that they get out to beyond just your yard. This is a wonderful endemic ground cover. Everyone wants a ground cover that's not just horse herb. Here is one, and look how cute that is. And I'm obsessed with that one up there. Texas Blue Star. How could you not be obsessed with a blue flower? It's so pretty. And it's another pollinator host plant. So if you think these things are cool, join us to come and dig some of them or collect their seed, or just talk to us about committing to growing, because we need you to grow these things. If you want to come be with us sometime, join our Facebook group to know about registration. Check us out on Instagram to know about registration, or email us, because we can just email you our monthly event lists. Here are QR codes if you want to find our social media. That is the best way to know what we're doing. And if you want to see celebrations of these plants, our Instagram is where you'll find celebrations. And then if you just want to help us or know more or come, you can find us at Central Texas Plant Rescuers at Gmail. So thank you so very much for being here. And if you guys have any questions, we'd be happy to field them while we show you some beautiful pictures of things that we've saved. Thanks, y'all. Are there any questions?
Yes, do you prefer if they are habitat wildlife certified areas already, if they are signing up to be a native habitat restoration center?
Oh, to get our donation plants?
If it helps in any way, or if it gives you money tax back.
We don't care. We don't care. If you are getting plants from us, and not digging them yourself, it just needs to be a publicly accessible pollinator garden, because otherwise you're just kind of being greedy and saying, hey, give us all the plants without me working, right? So if you want plants for yourself, you got to dig them. But we will always give to a pollinator garden. So find that form on our Instagram and tell us about the garden, approximately where it is, because that tells us, is it prairie land? Is it Edwards Plateau? Because that helps us to better curate what plants will go to you. We do focus on making sure plants go where they should go. If it's dug from the prairie, we're not going to rehome it to Edwards Plateau. If it's dug from Edwards Plateau, same thing. So specific to ferns, for example, we need those to live. So they got to go where the habitat is the same from where they're dug. So if you've got that habitat for the garden, you can have those ferns.
I meant specifically if they were going to be taking them in and propagating for Central Texas.
Oh, to propagate for us? It doesn't matter. We just want a commitment that there will be the propagated plants will be shared. That's all. We don't want people to take the seeds and hoard them without, trying to put more plants into the community. That's all.
Prefer an indoor or outdoor location?
Doesn't really matter. Yeah. Thank you. Please grow. And if you want to grow, some of the things are here. And if you don't want to grow and you just want things for your yard, we also have seeds for you to take. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Oh, that we found. All right, so I told you 1 to 3. So we have not found any S1 species, which are the most critically endangered. The most critically endangered we found is S2. But I'm gonna lie to you if I tell you what it is, because I forget if it's an S2 or S3. So Buckley's tridens is a grass that we've rescued, and it was either an S2 or S3. Scarlet clematis is the same. It's either an S2 or S3. I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. I believe the Liatris glandulosa is an S2. We'll have to check. So find out and tell me if I remembered right. There are some very cool shrubs that are endemic to Edwards Plateau. One is the Texabama croton. It's evergreen. It has kind of spotted silvery leaves and really cool flowers. Do you remember, is that an S2 or the croton? Do you want to share any other threatened plants? But we have a lot of threatened plants specifically in the western portion of town, which is pretty cool. And we're still looking. Let me see if I've got a picture of one. One of the milkweeds is threatened here. I believe it's an S2, and that's one that we're spending a lot of time digging. A lot of the milkweed vines have heart-shaped leaves. And if it's got a heart-shaped leaf and a smooth vine, and you found it in a rocky western Travis County area, it might be this threatened Metellia edwardsensis, and it's got a really pretty green flower. I'd have to go pretty far back to find it. I love this one. This is a carrot underground, so it's easy to move because it's basically a bulb if you're digging, a carrot. So easy to move these, and they survive, and it's a beautiful yellow spring bloom. Any other questions? There's that carrot. See? No, this is Lithospermum incisum. It's a fringed cocoon. It's got these simple leaves with a prominent vein and a kind of a carrot tuber underground. I read that indigenous use the tuber for dye, which we aren't going to do because we want this plant to live. So we're not going to use the tuber. We're going to plant the tuber. I think that's it. Milkweed on the left, one of our wonderful diggers in the middle. A lot of times people are traversing big chunks of land, and so we'll carry things in backpacks or 5-gallon buckets with a little bit of water because dry roots are dead roots. So if we've dug something and can't pot it right away, we'll keep it in a little bucket of water for a bit. We do have some threatened cacti, but this is not a threatened one. It's just a fun one. On the far right, Kay is holding a pineapple cactus. We have a lot of nipple cactuses here, but some people don't want to say nipple, so we'll call it a pineapple cactus. Any other questions? Oh, I guess this is a good closing. Threatened plants. I've been talking about state threatened plants, but there's federally protected plants. This is our only, on the right, our only federally listed plant that lives here. So we have one federally threatened plant. That means every state entity that's developing, if they have to survey the land to assure there's no threatened species, they can't. This is the only one they're worried about. They might find some of the 50 that I was excited about, but those are state threatened plants. And so we're not really worried about it if we're TxDOT building a road. We're only concerned about this flower here, which is an annual. So that means if the flower doesn't get pollinated and the seeds don't mature, there's no population next year of this plant. And this is the bracted twist flower, and it lives here, and it's mostly threatened from development and the fact that it's private property that is where its habitat is. So most of the people, when they move in, they clear out their woods saying they're cleaning it up. Well, they're clearing out orchids and bracted twist flowers when they're cleaning up their woods. And then there we go. Anyway, so we're always on the hunt for this flower because it's all, it's in this part of town, but we have not found it yet. And that's, part of what it's all about. Threatened things, pollinators, and the bees.
That's just beautiful.
I'll go back to it. Yeah. Thank you all for your time. See, let's go get some. Huh?
And you're here to stay for is a flower.
You wouldn't believe so many hummingbirds buzz What we're doing, it's just doing things. This is a small selection. You have scroll on top about this one. This is Golden Dahlia. Yes, yes. I think there's 25 students. And that's a happy. If you want, if it's that one, choose you know, that likes for your work. Getting from
TGR was being.